Hello, 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 hello. Yeah, right. We are going to paint this thing today. So I found this at the dollar store. And it was one of those stupid little paint vinyl things. And it came with, I think, 3 markers? I think it came with 3 markers. I can only find these 2 right offhand. The other one is in here somewhere, I'm sure. I don't particularly care. It's vinyl. Meaning, I know dang heckin' darn swiggity that the marker's not going to stick. Now, the problem is, paint is also not going to stick unless I have Mr. Super Clear, which it is too cold and wet up here to use, or unless I sand it. I would absolutely love to tell you right now that I was able to sand it and get it done. Unfortunately for me, my brother has chosen to keep the garage an entire mess, and I have no idea where anything is. And it's Christmas Eve, which means a lot of the shops around here are closed, or closed at noon, meaning that I cannot, in fact, get sandpaper. I was supposed to have done this earlier in the month, except for I very suddenly had a business trip, which took up the entirety of my month, up until, like, the 22nd. And it is the thing. So, I'm going to paint this, and the way I figure it, if the paint doesn't stick, and it peels off slowly over the course of the year, that just means that I get to sand it and repaint it correctly, and probably significantly better next year. Or we can actually, honestly, probably just throw it away and try again, because it was like, I don't know, $5. Yes, Screamy Kitten! Yes, I know, it's Crimbo! It's Crimbo! It's Crimbo! If you hear this thing in the background, this is what it looks like. Say hi to the people, Twerpy. Yes. Wow. You're also going to be hearing crickets in the background constantly, because yesterday was feeding day. Also, the mic has seemingly decided to be weirdly more sensitive, because I keep accidentally peaking it. Apologies for that. I didn't think I was speaking that loudly. Anyways, I have references pulled up over here on my second monitor that you do not get to see. Nope. Nope. Okay. Nope. You do not get to see the second monitor. Nope. Okay. Well, I tried. I didn't try very hard, admittedly, but I did try. Alright. Yes, Screamy Kitten. I have a pile of paints behind me. We're going to see if they work, as most of them are old as hell. And we're going to painting the thing. Now, you may be wondering, Tori, why are you uploading this as an unedited thing instead of, editing it and making this make sense? Well, because the problem is this is for my boyfriend, and my boyfriend is also my editor. Which means that I can't do that unless I want him to see immediately what I'm doing. So. Tori, it's Christmas Eve. Why are you doing stuff on Christmas Eve? Well, because yesterday I was also gone most of the day. It's a problem. You see, the thing is that my boyfriend's family actually likes each other, unlike my family. Which means that they have 3 Christmases in a row, whereas My family is only doing Christmas on Christmas. Yeah, that looks like about the correct color. It's nice and chunky, but you know. Now I know somebody out there is going to be like, there are better ways you could do this. I know. I'm aware of that. The problem is that those better ways also require a lot more time than I currently have. As again, I was supposed to have done this at the beginning of this month, as I wasn't expecting the business trip to be until next month, and instead, it got moved up to this month. So, you know, the sad thing is the business trip getting moved up to this month was supposed to mean that I would have time to get to the aquarium while they were doing the Christmas stuff, and that didn't get to happen. And that makes me sad. Because the aquarium down in Georgia, where the business trip was, does like a Crimbo every year thing. Kind of like Toledo Zoo does with their lights before Christmas. I think most zoos and aquariums and such do that. It's just that the Toledo Zoo is the one that I grew up with, and thus is the one that I'm going to reference. I feel like that is almost exactly the correct color. If only it wasn't so chunky. Oh well. The good news is that this means that I get to use up so much of my old paint that needs to be thrown out, honestly. I have this problem in which I like to hoard old craft supplies just in case I need them suddenly, and I'm unable to get them because I live in the middle of nowhere, and thus craft stores are a pain in the bum to get to. So I just hoard them until they are no longer capable of being used in any way, shape, or form. And then they just die. Okay. Well, the good news is adding just that little bit of water helped. I am going to paint the inner ears also this green because it looks like they fade into the other colors. I'm trying to keep this in camera view also, but you know, the problem is that I'm over here. And every synapse in my brain is like, why are you painting it so far away from you? The good news is that at least it seems like this vinyl is taking the color quite well. And the question's going to be is if it's going to stay. Now, obviously, I am going to at least clear coat this. Most likely with Mod Podge, as again, it's too cold up here for like spray clear adhesive. Well, not adhesives, but spray clear thingies. But oh boy, your face is all smudgy. I'm also trying to keep my head out of the bottom shot, but you know, whatever. There are your little hands. And obviously this is just the messy coat. I'm kind of trying to get all of the base colors in first. I do have watercolor pencils on hand, because I know those usually work quite well on vinyl. That's kind of why I want to get the messy layers on first, so that they can be drying in time for the thing, for me to get the other layers on. I think that is actually almost exactly the perfect color green. I'm not gonna lie. Now, I'm not gonna tell y'all what paints I'm using at all, like at any point. Unless somebody wants to sponsor me. In which case I will be happy to let everyone know what kind of paint I'm using at any given time. I will say that none of the paint that I'm using is fancy in any way, shape, or form. Which is also why I don't really mind having to trash it at some point in time in the near future. You are just barely darker than this color, and I appreciate that. Because it means that I can get a little bit of shading in with paint instead of having to only rely on watercolor pencils. I'm sure someone will be like, what kind of watercolor pencils are you using? No. I'm gonna not with that. I don't know if you can tell that it's a little bit darker. I mean, sort of. But to the naked eye, it is just visible enough that I am happy with it. And Tori, why are you layering colors on while they're still wet underneath? Well, one, it makes it a little bit easier to do the blending if it's wet, and two, again, with the I don't have an exceptional amount of time. That's also why I'm not being precious with where the paint ends up on the eyes and whatever, because the eyes are going to be black anyways, which means that they're going to I'm going to end up being able to cover the paint regardless. And why am I not wearing nicer clothes, especially since it's Christmas Eve, and I just said that I have places that I'm going to be this afternoon? Because I'm not going to paint in nice clothes. That sounds like a really bad idea for someone like me who, as you've undoubtedly already noticed, is in fact a klutz. I'm not gonna do that to myself. That sounds like an absolutely horrible idea. Yeah, I don't think you can notice the difference between these two colors on camera, but the difference is notable in person, and that's really the bit that matters. La 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 la. Alright. Shirt thing is brownie. Basically, my intention is to use what I need of these colors and then promptly throw them out because they're garbage, like I've said a couple times already. It's basically what's going to happen with my entire rack of paint. I am, however, going to keep the paint rack because the paint rack is actually hella nice. So, it should be noted that I am not particularly a fan of Star Wars. Like, I feel like I could be, and this is also why I'm not against being re-shown the series, you know? But growing up, Star Wars and Star Trek were never quite my thing. I always preferred ocean over space when it came to, like, explorer things. So I was the 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea kind of person. There's actually this one series, and the annoying thing is I can never remember the name of it, which is weird because I have, like, the first season of it on DVD, and yet I can never remember the name of it because I always think it's like 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea. but I think it's just based off of that. And I quite enjoy it. I generally preferred ocean exploring over the space exploring, which is strange for me to say, as I have generally preferred space aesthetics over ocean ones. So there's a fun set of things. I think part of it has to do with the fact that there was only really one member of my family that liked Star Trek. And because he was rarely around, I never really got exposed to much of it. My family was always you're watching like actual science channel, actual history channel. You're watching all of the nonfiction stuff growing up. We're not having you watching these fictional things, so I didn't really get to do like cartoons and stuff a huge amount growing up, except for Warner Brothers, strangely. My family was all for me watching Warner Brothers cartoons, and that was approximately it. Well, and Disney movies. I got Warner Brothers when it came to like TV series cartoons, and I got Disney when it came to animated movies. And that was essentially my childhood. So I am quite behind on pop culture things. I didn't really do the thing where I got to see a lot of them, as I have essentially grown up under a nonfiction rock. So, a lot of the pop culture things that I do like are newer, like, well, you can actually see sort of in the background my Bendy and my Penny. But like, as far as, I guess, classic pop culture things, that was a nah for things that I got to actually see much of. You're black. I don't want to put anything in black yet. We're going to get as close as we can. My goal is to make this actually look nice. Unfortunately, I do not have any silver paint. I do have some glitter paint that I think I'm going to put in his eyes. Like in spots in his eyes. Because in some of the pictures, his eyes are basically black, and in some of them, they're like a dark brown that's not quite black. And so I think I'm gonna try to find like an in-between for that. We're gonna see. I need a better reference of his little cart thing. His little egg. Alright, that'll do. I'm going to use all of the wrong terminology for this. I'm not going to apologize, as I've already stated that I have not seen these. Like I said, I feel like I could become a fan. I think part of the problem, too, was that I was never shown them, perhaps in the correct order. Because I have vague memories of seeing bits of Star Wars. The problem is that it was only because something happened to be on during holidays. And thus it wasn't like the proper order to watch it in or something. So, like, I feel like that's also probably part of it. I feel like what also is part of it is anytime we would try watching it growing up, it was specifically because there was nothing else on, and it was always with my family mocking it in the background for it being nerd shit. Which I assume doesn't help. So, I'm not going to say that I am, that I don't particularly like Star Wars, for the simple fact that I'm fairly certain to the reason that I don't is because I wasn't in an environment in which I could, if that makes any sense. I feel like what I need to do is go back and actually watch them properly with people that actually care. And I would probably, and I feel like I would end up liking them at that point. I just need something, and so this is also kind of an open invitation to my boyfriend to get me into more fun nerd shit. So there's that. I'm certainly not going to stop him. We just need, like, time to do it. And that's always the hard bit with long series is having the time to doing the thing. I'm also keeping the colors that I am for sure using up here, as the ones that are back there are kind of just, here are options that might be useful, rather than I am certainly going to use them. And the ones that I am using, I'm keeping up here. Kind of hoping the fact that it's a little warmer up here, mostly due to the amount of heat lamps and such, because herps, I love herps, will help with the drying process. Kind of just throwing some texture in here with this darker paint. I know technically you would want to dry brush, but I also know that dry brushing doesn't necessarily work exceptionally well on vinyl. And again, I also have a time crunch, as my boyfriend is going to be here in like an hour or two to pick me up for second Crimbo. As again, his family actually likes each other. Can't relate. So I know technically you're supposed to go in and add all of the details afterwards. I know this. Time. The problem is I also don't want this to just end up being a big gray blob. I want some amount of color in here, seriously, like, honestly. I don't want this to just look boring. I do need another green for this frog, though. There is a tiny Cyclops frog, and I didn't grab an extra green. Mostly because I just noticed him because, well, it's kind of just a big white blob. Green! Oh look, a metallic purple. You might be useful too. Green. There we go. Yeah, I don't have any silver paint, but you know what? We gonna use what we got. I do have some gold, so I ended up grabbing more than just green. Because sometimes it takes actually starting the process to realize what colors you may or may not need. It's kind of just how this works. I think we're going to paint everything around the frog first, because him tiny, you can just make him out there. I apologize for the quality of this particular bottom webcam. Here. We're going to probably use this for the showing the thing fully thing. This was supposed to be an okay-ish quality webcam, and I guess it is, but, like, it might also just be the position of things, and whatever, excuses. What am I painting next? I choose some of these random little boxes. I'm gonna make them metallic green. Because I've decided that we're going to make a lot of things greens. Because I can. And because for some reason I have a strange amount of metallic greens. So we're going to make the rocks crystals instead. I forgot the rule, which is if you're using metallic, you want to paint it black first. Actually, it kind of works since I said crystal instead of, like, absolutely shiny black. I'm probably going to go in and do a couple of them like this, and then a couple of them I'm going to paint black first, so that there's some contrast. Makes sense to me. Because the problem with metallic paints is that if you don't put a base color on them first, it's going nowhere. You may as well have not even bothered painting it. It's going to be translucent, and you're going to use many, many coats. Which, again, I don't mind the translucency on this because the base coat is white, which kind of just gives it more of a slightly more crystal-y feel. Oh good, Grogu's dry already. See, that's why I painted him first. Because he's gonna be where more of the detail is, because, well, he's the main focus. He's the figure, that's the idea. Every synapse in my brain wants there to be a sticker that goes here, and I don't know why. I might just choose a random Star Wars logo that I find and put it there. Because I can. Okay. Grab the black. Grab the purple for some of the other crystals. Make some of the other crystals purple. And then, actually the purple is significantly less transparent than the green. which is always nice. Again, I'm trying to make sure that I'm staying on camera, but you know. I also have to be able to paint this little thing. And it's little. So like, that looks like a Pokeball. There's this little tiny lumpy thing. I don't know if the camera will focus enough to see it, but there's this little tiny lumpy thing, and it looks like it's supposed to be a jar. That's like one of those half jar things. The problem is that it's round and it makes me think of a Pokeball. The other problem is that I know he wouldn't be mad if I made it into a Pokeball, because he also likes Pokemon, so I might just do that. Just vaguely make it resemble a Pokeball. Because I can. Kind of looks like he crashed into this stuff. Like, I don't know if this particular set of things is a reference, because I don't know how many times I have to say I've not seen this, but it kind of looks like he kind of crashed and he's just like, yeah, you know what, alright. I live here now, I guess. I might just make some of the other stuff around into references to other things that I know he likes, because I can. I have that ability. Instead of it just being Star Wars. Which he would be happy with it just being Star Wars. But you know what? I've chosen chaos, and some of this shit is just going to end up being references to other things. Because I've chosen chaos. Ba-doo-boo. And Tori, why aren't you making the layer of black thick so it's actually black? Well, one, it needs to dry so I can put the metallic over it. And two, it doesn't need to be thick in order for it to make the metallic stand out. So, why would I make it thick when I can leave it thin and then it'll dry quicker? Kind of looks like he just built himself a little hidey hole in the rock for his little capsule. Anyway. Doodly-doo. Painting this capsule, 'cause I don't know how much of this is a capsule. Doodly-doo. The problem is all of the images that I'm finding of the capsule, it's just kind of eggy. Which kind of makes me think the rest of this just kind of somehow got built around it in order to form some kind of base. Or like he crashed or some shit. That just looks like a boot. Somebody out there is going to be like, maybe you shouldn't be painting a thing that you don't know what it is. To which I respond with, maybe you're right. But also, I love my boyfriend, but he has no artistic bones in his body. And thus if I give this to him, it would stay white its entire life. And that would be boring as hell too, so we're not doing that. I'm almost certain this isn't a TV screen, but that's what it's gonna become. I think the other marker that this came with was like pink or something. Something ridiculous. I think it was like green, brown, and pink. And like, I get it. Put some pink on his cheeks, but also, the hell else are you supposed to do with pink? Like, on this thing? Maybe the crystals? Maybe? Whap. Oh. Okay. Good. The good news is, because it's warm up here, the paint is in fact drying quicker like I was hoping it would. Get the black out of this before I come in with this other green. You keep bringing this all the way over to this edge, forgetting naturally that it needs to be more in the middle in order for y'all to see. So I do have quite the list of books that I'm going to be going through and doing reading stuff for. I'm also going to be learning how to do editing. So that means that videos should be able to get out more. I'm going to be documenting my full weight loss thing on my OnlyFans, which I did just start. And no, it is not going to be for porn and naked photos and whatever. I'm going to be using it for its actual intended use, which is content that you will only be able to get there while you're there. Meaning, there is where you'll get full access to the documentary of how I've been losing weight instead of just weight loss updates. There is where you'll get more full videos, possibly early, because I think I'm going to start setting, or at least the edited videos, I think I'm going to start doing on OFTV, and they're going to go up early there by like a week or at least a couple days, kind of like how people use Patreon for doing the same thing. I'm going to post a whole bunch of different art up there, probably earlier than when I post it on like my DeviantArt and whatever. So if you're following me on various other social medias, I'll probably end up posting stuff there earlier than when I'm posting it on, like I said, DeviantArt or whatever. I'm still trying to work out how I'm going to do the OnlyFans thing, because, well, that's new. That's a whole new thing for me, so I don't exactly know what I'm doing. This entire thing is a whole new thing for me, if we're being honest. So, a lot of this is trial and error. Sometimes it feels like more error than trial, but hey-oh. But I do enjoy doing these, like, not edited ones, because I like to talk. You may have noticed. I have very little ability to shutting my mouth. It's kind of a problem a little bit. Hold on, let's... Here we go. Alright, now we can slip in the first of the many references. Or, oh, not many. The first of the, like, 2 references? Kinda, sorta want to make that a companion cube, almost, but, like, only vaguely. I might end up repainting... Hold on, I forgot. I might end up repainting this and making it a companion cube, instead of leaving it green. Problem is that would just be more gray attached to the gray, and I kind of don't like that. And there's only so many shades of gray when it comes to paint that actually works. Although having the green underneath will make it a slightly different shade of gray, so I guess... Yeah, you know what, I think that's a different enough thing that I can turn that into a companion cube. Or at least the vague semblance of one. Obviously, it's not going to be a perfect companion cube, but, you know, whatever. Nope. That was spelled very wrong. Here we go. That'll be fun. Anywho, gonna do that for those. Both of those, actually. Because I can. First frog. Load! You fell down. I need it. Stop falling down. No, that's why you're basically empty. Alright, well, you can get that away then. I need a red. Like a bright red. While I'm going over there. I also need a blur. A nice blur. Bright red and a blur. Oh, there's a nice blur. Whee! And there's a nice bright red. There we go. You back. Here we go. Boop-a-doo. Those will be important for later. For now, frog. I choose you. Whoop. I do like frogs, hence me having so many of them. I actually have 4 aquatic frogs and a he's not quite a tree frog. He's called an Asian greenback. He's kind of like a bullfrog, but with slightly more climbing tendencies than a bullfrog. If that makes any sense. Like, he's like a bullfrog if a bullfrog was better at climbing things. Yeah, that looks like the correct color for a frog. I don't think I'll be able to shove any more detail into that with this green, but I kind of want to give him a slightly different color to Tum Tum. Yep. And that I am going to probably come back to and give us slightly more color to. Actually, I might just do that now with the orange. Since I have the orange up here. I usually grab orange whenever I'm working with browns because oranges tend to work better for highlighting browns. Yeah. I'm gonna just go in with this since I have it. Add some fluff to this. Because from what I can see anyway, this is supposed to be vaguely fluffy. This was actually mostly grabbed for a different thing. Yeah, that actually looks pretty well. New tissue. As I need something to dabble my paintbrush on while I pull it out of the water, which is essentially what I've been using this for. So far we have a this Focus. I will end up taking a better video probably of it once I'm as like a little mini short. That would make sense, I think, probably. Okay, you over that. You and you and you. You're my habit, I trade my habit to get you back. Actually, I think I'm gonna use you instead of white for that. I want it to be a reference, not like obvious. Honey brown. But this also gives me a chance to throw a little bit more shading onto the shirt while I'm doing this. Y'all need to be down there or over here because y'all ain't being used right now. Which one of you is the darker one? You. Okay. Yep, there's the crickets again. Let's see if people get this references. I'm probably also going to start doing some gaming on this channel. This is kind of supposed to be a me doing things that I enjoy more so than it having to stick to a theme. Like, I enjoy reading, so naturally I wanted to do reading for the channel because I enjoy reading, but I don't usually have the time to do it. But if I can make it literally part of what I do as a job, I don't know, getting paid to read sounds like a good idea to me. You can't see where that would go wrong. One pot. You look like you have a cover or something on it, but I'm going to ignore that. Because I can. Actually, I might be able to use that to my advantage. Hold on. Before I cover this in paint, I want to check a thing. Yes, I can use it to my advantage. Right, noted. I am going to use this for you, though, because I have no idea what you are, so I'm going to choose to make you some kind of weird little pot. Because you're either some kind of weird little pot or a boot. And either way, brown technically works. Yeah, you're probably going to end up getting needed for the eyes. It's a thing. Since the eyes are like a brownie, kind of. Ah, damn it. I was going to add more shading to the thingy. Oh well, I can do that with this color. Technically, I can do that with this color. Whoop. It's just a little bit dark, but you know what? It's also a little bit runny, which means it kind of works anyway. I'm just going to stick to the runnier portions of the paint that is bad for shading, because it's shading. At least for now. Got a little bit of brownie, because it's like a brown and a pink mixed together for around the inside of the ears. And for around the eyes. So I'm going to go with the brown to set up a base layer for when I throw the pink in. The key is actually to just use very little pigment when you're doing little detail-y things such as that. But now is when I need the pigment. Please show up as a darker brown. I need you to be a darker brown. You're like barely darker. Sad. Alright. Option dose. Where did I put the black? There you are. I'm just going to grab a touch of it. Barely any of it. In fact, I'm probably going to wipe some of it off. I think I got a little too much. Then I'm just going to mix it in with the brown that's in here, right here. There we go. Now you have a nice darker stripe. There we go. That's what I wanted. I think I also want, because this is the slightly darker of the two browns, so I'm going to go ahead and make you the base layer for his eyes. Maybe. You might be a little too runny, as you was older than some of the other ones that I have. Nope. Looks like you don't get to become a base layer then. Sad. Nope. Alright. Well, I tried. To prevent you from dripping everywhere, we're just gonna dab you off of the eyes then. And then I'm just gonna throw you away so I don't accidentally grab you again. Alrighty. I need this. Actually, I think I need this one instead. Yeah, you're closer. And then I might brighten you up a little bit with the whites. But I think you is closer. Yeah, I'm gonna need to add a little bit of white in there. But actually, I think you're a better color than the yellow for this. Yes, you are very much a better color than the yellow for this. Oh, here we go. I made it a Legend of Zelda pot. Yay. Yes. That worked much better than the yellow. Might still need the yellow for something else though. And pop. My miracle light. Trade a miracle to get to you. Let's get a little bit of white in here. And that way we can use this other color for shading-ish. Kind of want it to be a nice I didn't want it to be stark white, which is why I used the other color as a base. I kind of just wanted it to be doodly 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 doo. There we go. The white, I'm certain, will be needed again, but also the white is easy to find compared to the rest of them. Well, and we'll also need the blue again. I'm gonna let that white dry first, though. Here's the pink. So what I'm going to do is, since I need to pinken his cheeks and his ears also, I'm going to essentially dry my brush by doing the painting on this, and then when it's almost gone, like there, come in and add the pink into the cheeks and the ears, and that way it's not stark bright pink. It's like lightly pink. There we go. That looks good. And then I turn this back around and finish this bit up. You do have a red label, so I can do that. I may or may not need this pink again. We gonna find out. This gold I'm going to use as the handle on this pot. And the ring around this. There we go. I think I'm going to also end up using that gold in his eyes, but for now, red. Where's the red? There's the red that I grabbed. There we go. Alright. Let's see just how closely I can make this look. The answer is going to be not very, but close enough for how small it is. And then blur. There we go. Moo Moo Milk. Also going to go in, since this is a pearly blue, and paint over some of these black rocks that I made, so that we can have a little bit more crystals happening. and it's not just all random coal or whatever it happens to be. There we go. There we go. Alrighty. Going to need those again later. Let's see. Let's go back to making your eyes brownish with probably this, actually, because your eyes need to be browner, or at least I need to get brown into them. And honestly, if I don't get to adding the detail with the watercolor markers, that's kind of why I'm going with just keeping it kind of cartoony, so that even if I don't get to have time to doing that, it's not that big of an issue, because, well, it's still kind of taken care of. I'm also going to go ahead and paint the base ground this color, especially given that his eyes are not going to stay that bright. I'm going to end up throwing a bunch of blacks and stuff onto it, layering them in nicely, so the base ground can become this color, and it's not a problem. Hopefully, because this is the majority of what I have left. Was that, and then detail-y bits, so I'm hoping that the detail-y bits I'm able to actually get done, as most of them involve, you know, going in and adding stuff to Grogu. You said you haven't seen the thing. Why do you know his name is Grogu when everyone who hasn't seen the thing calls him Baby Yoda? And even the ones who have seen the thing call him Baby Yoda, because I watch enough random things and am around enough people who know who these people are that I know who these people are. There you are. Yeah, so your eyes are not going to stay that bright, but I do need to let them dry before I can go in and add more layers to it, because that's kind of just how this works. And that's kind of why I'm doing things the way that I am. So that as bits happen, other bits can dry. So while that's drying, I'm going to turn this into a companion cube, because I have all the grays up here, so I may as well. Or at least an approximation of the companion cube. Obviously, it's so damn heckin' small that it's not going to be exactly a companion cube. But I am gonna try. And you know what? That's the important bit. I'm just making sure that nobody's deciding to show up early. It doesn't appear so. Good. You become a companion cube. Kind of hoping that the fact that the underneath is metallic will show through a little bit. Doesn't particularly look like it's doing that, so that's sad for me, but oh well. And no, this isn't going to be the neatest thing in the world. I'm not gonna run around the entire thing and do a bunch of cleanup on it. Again, I'm only have so much time. In fact, I'm literally down to approximately a half hour. And while I could just wait and finish it tomorrow, I would then have to be annoyed about, I would then have to split this into 2 videos, and nobody wants that, including me. So there's that. Let's see. Okay. Doing it that way then. Yeah. I'm hoping I can get some Mod Podge on this. But I might just have to go to the garage and spray it whether I want to or not. Because, well, problem is when it's this humid and hot. Well, it's not hot, but it's like wet because it's Ohio, which means somehow at this time of year it's always wet, but you're always dry, because that's how the universe works, I guess. So, it makes it so that things don't, if you put the stuff on, it doesn't dry, because it's anything that sprays, generally aerosols don't like to dry in this kind of weather. That looks like a reasonable approximation of a companion cube. Especially given it's tiny, and I didn't feel like digging out my detail brushes. I have, like, really ridiculously tiny brushes for, like, mini painting. I can't be bothered to try to find them. I vaguely know where they should be, but things around me have a habit of not being where they should be. which kind of makes things more difficult. There. A little hurt. You know what? I'm gonna fill this inside with this pink too. Just so that it's not... I'm getting sick of how similar it looks to the rest of it, so I'm just fixing that. Alright. Now for the final of the references to other things. And then I get to argue with his eyes some more. Actually, I think I want to put the... get the eyes a little bit done before then. Because I need to get the black layered in. Because the black needs to dry a bit before I can... Oops, sorry. My instinct is to bring the thing to me, not to bring the thing to there. And I know you're not supposed to put the pupils in until the end or whatever. The problem is that because his eyes are like mostly black in a lot of the images, and you like barely see any brown, I'm kind of not massively fussed by it. Because I can just take, and now that the black is in, feather it. And just leave the pupil mostly there. No. And accidentally got some black where I didn't want it. But see, this way I can get the nice dark layer in. That's actually not too bad, because that isn't an area where there would just naturally be shading. So I can just take that, and if I do this correctly, I can just mostly erase it. There we go. Fantastic. I will have to go back over the eyelids with the green and possibly the pink, but for now, we go to the last reference of the references that I'm insisting on throwing in here because I can. Forgot to open the other colors I needed. Derp. You're the darker gray, or you're the darker gray? You're the darker gray. Good. You, I actually think I'm going to need more on the eyes than I'm going to need here. Black. black. Oh, it sounds like Mom's home. Good. Good. There we go. And let's see if I can't get you to do the thing that I need you to do. That I need you to do. That'll need another layer probably. You're my habit, my limbs for one of you, two limbs for two lips. Now I'd say that's a fair trade, wouldn't you? This is, yep, both of those are going to need more layers. Yep, that makes sense. Yeah. I think I'm going to do it this way instead of trying to put it on the screen. Do 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 do. All right. Now y'all need to dry before I can put layer number dos on you. And y'all, I'm going to need to add a little bit more browns in, because I want the eyes to be prettier. So I have this nice brown here. I might throw in a little bit of this. That is going to be way too orange, so that's not going to happen. I can use a little bit of that. The entire idea of this being getting a little bit more shading in to this without it being massively overwhelming. I want to put a little bit of orange here too while I have it on here. While I have it on the brush, I'm going to hit a couple other spots. There we go. That's better. Yeah. My only problem that I have with painting is that it always seems to leave my entire area a mess. Not even necessarily with paint, but just with bottles everywhere. It always seems like I end up with like bottles everywhere because of every time I paint. It's like kind of annoying. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back in with the green. I also have to fix over here a little bit. I think I want to make, and I don't think this is accurate to the thing, but I think I want to make these little circly things gold. I just think that'll look better. And while I got it, add an extra layer to some of the things that need an extra layer. There we go. I think those eyes look massively better already. So now I need those to dry a little bit before I can do. I like to add a little bit of glitter into eyes when I'm painting them specifically. I think it makes it look nicer. Makes it look a little bit more realistic. So while I'm waiting for that to be possible, because that has to dry mostly, I'm going to go back here. Layer this red in a little more. Become annoyed that this red is so damn runny. For no good reason in particular. Like, but why? You're my miracle light. That song has been running through my head for like the entire month. I don't know why. Some of you out there are going to recognize it. And those people are probably going to be like, oh God, I haven't thought of that song in years. Why? Because I'm still trash. I haven't stopped being trash yet. All right. Now that layer of red and junk needs to dry. I almost forgot. There's a bunch of red little details. And blue little details. Those are probably going to have to come after that set of stuff dries. Aw, where did you get brown on you already? Oh, wait, nope. You're not on the thing. That's fine. That's fine then. Let's see if I can't get just a little bit of this. And then obviously we have to highlight pupils. I think that looks much better. I obviously did not end up going in a whole amount with the doodly-doo, with the doing the colored pencils. So what I think I'm going to do is, while that is drying, and since it's still too early for the other one to be dry, I'm gonna just see if I can't get a little bit of a wash of this into here. And obviously I'm not going to leave it that dark. That would be ridiculous. I just want a little bit more color in the wrinkly bits. There we go. That actually looked pretty well. And then I'm gonna start using this one because this one that I have over here is dead. Dead. Because I need to get back in around this. Mostly that, actually. Because the rest of this is not actually too bad, because it kind of blends in and works as shading. I do need to get re-get the eyelids. Well. That looks better. And again, this paint was a little bit chunky to start with, so he's not perfect. But you know what? I think he's still cute as hell. So we've got that going for us. And I think I also somehow had almost exactly the correct color. Actually, two colors, because I kind of was bouncing back and forth between the two. But yeah. And anyone who does painting knows that it is very rare to somehow have basically exactly the color that you want without having to mix a bunch of shit. So I am very happy with this. Okay, I now have basically a couple minutes. But the good news is the only thing I have left to finish is Vox here. So, well, and I have to add some highlights to the eyes. But basically all I have left is Vox. So, we should be literally just barely on time. Except I will need to put on clothes that are not just these. But, you know. Because I'm trying to wear nicer clothes just as a general rule. It's a thing. There we go. That looks like Vox, right? That looks like a reasonable approximation of Vox. There's my white. Alright. Looks like I'm not gonna get to Mod Podge this, but you know what? It'll live. It's not like it's going out in weather or anything anyways. Perfect. And there we go. I think he's adorable. And I think that this almost 2-hour long video thing is long enough. So, goodbye, Toodaloo. I have a lot of shit to clean up. And I will see you in the next video.